and welcome to the Health Channel, all health, all the time. I'm Laura DeAngelis coming to you from the Baptist Health South Florida studios. Well, eating a healthy diet is one of the most important things you can do for your body, and it's probably not a surprise to most of us to hear that following a healthy diet and lifestyle overall are two of your best weapons in the fight against heart disease. Well, joining me today to talk about nutrition and exercise is Amy Kimberlin, who is a registered dietitian, and we also have Shantice Mantilla, an exercise physiologist, and both are with Baptist Health South Florida. Thank you both for being here to talk about my favorite duo, nutrition and exercise. Yes. I'm really looking forward to this hour.
Thank you for having us. We're excited.
Thank you for having us, Laura. I'm definitely excited to get in and start talking all things nutrition and heart health.
All right, fantastic. Well, first and foremost, let's talk a little bit too about what you each do in your field. So Amy, let's start with you. Tell us about your work as a registered dietitian.
Absolutely. I have been in the field of nutrition for the last 20 years, and here with Baptist Health South Florida, my job is to go out and to educate the community. So we have a lot of different ranges of populations that we see, whether it's children, adults, and seniors, or even just working adults. But we partner and have different collaborations that we go and work at and with in order to educate the community of South Florida. So just last week, I was at a museum here in the area teaching parents and kids all about healthy snacks for the summer, and they got to make them, taste them, and then actually go home with recipes, right? So working together with the community and educating and making sure that they get the nutrition of the message of nutrition here in the community of South Florida.
All right, and sounds like fun to me. All right, and now Shantice, let's talk about you. You're an exercise physiologist.
Yes.
Again, let's remind our viewers what that entails.
Sure. So in terms of exercise physiology, that's really the study of how exercise impacts our body, from preventing disease to treating disease and just overall quality of life. Specifically, I've been an exercise physiologist and in the world of health promotion for over 10 years. And for Baptist Health South Florida, more specifically, I work with our community health department and oversee our exercise and wellness programs that we have, and everything from our Zumba, yoga, walk groups is completely free for the community. And if you're interested in learning more, please check out our website at baptisthealth.net/wellness.
All right, fantastic. Well, two experts we definitely have with us today, and our focus today is going to be on heart health, and we're actually going to kick things off. We have a short video that gives us some examples of how we can actually start being heart healthy in our very own kitchen. So let's take a look.
If you're concerned about your heart health, here's good news.
You can help yourself no matter what age you start implementing these beneficial lifestyle choices.
Mayo Clinic cardiologist Dr. Rekha Mankad says one of the most important choices is about how your meals are made. In short, fresh is best.
I think that's one of the key things, is that preparing your own foods at home rather than buying packaged foods, rather than eating out. You know exactly how much salt you're adding to things. You know if you're cooking it in healthy oils.
Choosing unsaturated cooking oils can help reduce cholesterol, and so can increasing the amount of fruits, vegetables, and other high-fiber foods in your meals. Home cooking also gives you more power over the salt in your diet.
The biggest link for salt is high blood pressure, and high blood pressure leads to heart disease.
Shake out less salt, serve up leaner meats, spoon on more fiber, and you'll be sitting down to a meal that can boost your heart health.
Okay, well, that video just made me very hungry. And aside from that, again, you know, seems to point out about kind of a healthy relationship between eating at home or cooking, preparing meals. So I guess let's just kind of talk about that, what you think.
I absolutely agree with the video. I think that cooking and eating at home is really where the foundation starts, where you have control over the sodium and the fat and the things that you're ultimately putting on your plate in order to make it healthy and balanced. I would tell you that there is that challenge of the convenience factor and why people are actually eating out. And so I think that's always the challenge, to ask them why they may be doing that, to be able to meet them where they're at, and then try and create that they're now being able to do some of those same meals that they've had out now at home, where they do have control to create balance, limit fats, limit salts, and all those things that bring it back to having a healthier heart.
Okay, that makes sense. And, you know, that being said, you're talking about making a difference here. So, you know, people might say, really, does it make a difference, though? Does changing my diet really make an impact? So, again, let's talk about it. Does, but we want to hear from the expert about, yes, it's true.
No, I think ultimately you have to kind of decide what suggestions have been given to you by the doctor, but the impact that it makes is all individual, right? You're dealing with a little bit of genetics, but at the end of the day, if you're looking to impact your blood pressure, if you're looking to impact your cholesterol, your triglycerides, all of that is impacted by health, and that leads back to the nutrition and all of those changes that you may need to make. So I tell people to change one thing at a time and really forge and go forward. You know, don't limit it to yourself to say, hey, I have to do this 10 things and end up doing none, right? So you want to start with one, moving forward, keep challenging yourself to improve on all of those things. But the impact that it makes, I can't tell you enough, just in lowering blood pressure, lowering triglyceride and cholesterol levels, all things lead back to how we're eating.
All right, that's good to know. Fantastic. All right, now I want to go to a question I think a lot of people might struggle with, and that isn't fat bad for me? I mean, shouldn't I just avoid it at all costs? But I mean, the reality is your body needs some fat as a source of energy. So again, Amy, please tell us, why do we need some fat in our diet? Why should we just not cut it out altogether?
I think it goes in waves with nutrition, and that's the truth, Laura. Like when you're looking at nutrients and what we need, there's carbohydrates, there's proteins, and there's fats. And so just in the last couple of years, I would tell you that it's been more readily accepted, but we need to discuss the type of fat, right? So we're not just saying it's all fats all the time, and we also don't have to fear fats, but when you're looking at fats in general, it's the unsaturated fats that we want to eat more of, not the saturated. So it's the type and the quality that we have to pay attention. Why? The role and the function, like you mentioned, it helps support cell growth, right? It helps absorb different vitamins and minerals. It's all these things, not just energy that it's giving to us, but all these other components and functions that fat plays. And let's be real, at the end of the day, fat makes food taste good, right? I mean, if I limited it, I also may not feel full longer. Yeah. And I think that ultimately it plays a role in choosing what you're adding in to keep you fuller longer, because that's also another component that fat does. So lots of functions with fat, but we have to pay attention to the quantity of it and then also the quality. And that comes back with what we're talking about today.
Okay, that makes sense. And speaking of that, we definitely want to take a look. You mentioned already there are different types of fats found in our food. They all have a different effects on our body. So we actually we have kind of a graphic to help. So Amy, why don't you kind of walk us through what we're looking at and how we should follow that?
I mean, I think that the American Heart Association recently came up with this graphic, and I think it's really straightforward and great, but it can still create some confusion. So obviously, let me go ahead and explain it. So we have the love it, the limit, and lose it. And I think that when you go through that, it's again, a great way for you to remember what things you need to include more of, what things you need to kind of limit and watch out for, and those that you need to limit. So when you're looking at the love it category, fats are based on their source. So whether I'm looking at fat coming from an animal source or a plant-based source, those are the two areas that help you to understand more of this graphic. And I have some actual examples here in studio today with us as well for the love it. If you're looking at plant-based fats, here in front of me I have olive oil, I have salmon, I have avocado, I have the nuts and the oils. All of those are ways that you can get in these things that we should love, which are unsaturated fats. And the key component there is that they don't stick and they're not going to cause the issues with heart disease. They lower cholesterol, they can lower blood pressure, all the things that we want in order to be better for our heart, right? So that's the love it category. Yes, I threw salmon in there, but it does have the unsaturated fat, which we'll talk about later on, Laura. So that's the love it category. When we look at limit, our second grouping here, this is our saturated fat. Right. Saturated fat is literally alliteration, an easy way for you to remember. Saturated, solid, sticks. Those are things that come from an animal. So I brought visually something that would be like butter, cream, cheese, all of those things coming from an animal that have saturated fat. Again, increasing risk for cardiovascular disease, increasing that lousy cholesterol that we need to pay attention to, and ultimately, again, watching how much and the quantity that we're consuming. And we'll talk animal meats in a minute as well. The last category is your lose it. And I know that there's one on there that we'll talk about more in depth as well, which is coconut oil. But I put cakes, cookies, pies, candies, all those things that when you're looking at and talking about things that you need to lose, this category is classifying it as artificial trans fats. The good news is that as of June 18th, 2018, here in this day and age, no longer can manufacturers add trans fat to these products. Now, I'm not talking natural trans fat that occurs in dairy or in meat substances. I'm talking about artificial trans fat. No more. They are giving a little leeway till 2020 for other manufacturers where products have already been created to phase out, but nothing from June 18th on can have trans fat added in. Why? Trans fat is where it was generally recognized as safe, has been found to be just as detrimental to our heart health as saturated fat. And again, thinking back to some of those items that I had, donuts and cookies, not only do they have saturated fat, but they also have the trans fat. So when you have those two things together, now it's like this double-edged, double whammy coming at you. So we do have to lose those items. And again, we'll talk about coconut oil because I know that's up for discussion later on, but stay tuned because again, I think sometimes when you're looking at current trends within the health field, we have to stay on top of it. And nutrition is a science and it is ever evolving. And then also we have to describe what the studies are actually saying.
Absolutely. Okay, some great information to start out with. I want to move over to the perfect partner for healthy living quickly, of course, though, and that is exercise.
Yes.
Shantice, please go over with us the exercise recommendations that are outlined by the American Heart Association.
And so, as Amy was saying, small steps, right?
Yes.
When we think about that. So, though we have recommendations, we have to think about this is a broader picture, and we're not going to accomplish this all at once. So, the recommendation, according to the American Heart Association and the ACSM, American College of Sports Medicine, is to accomplish 150 minutes of physical activity in an entire week, okay? And so again, 150 minutes, but you can accomplish this 10 minutes at a time. And then on top of that, they also recommend that you do at least 2 days of moderate to vigorous strength activity. This could be using your body weight or an external stress. But really, when we're talking about preventing heart disease, the American Heart Association recommends that we do 40 minutes of moderate to vigorous activity 3 to 4 times a week. So it's even higher than that recommended 150 minutes. And some ways that you can accomplish this is by walking, jogging, swimming, dancing, biking. Now, what all of these have in common is they're aerobic exercise. These aren't really strength exercises. And now we see here the broader recommendation, 150 minutes at the top there, or you can accomplish this with doing more vigorous activity, doing 75 minutes a day, a week. And then that 40-minute, that marker, when you're really thinking about lowering blood pressure and cholesterol, it's 3 to 4 days a week of moderate to vigorous activity. Now, aerobic activity is the easiest way, right? Going out and walking, that's probably the easiest way that you can accomplish those minutes. But when we think about it, you have to vary it. It's not just walking. You also have to find something you love. When someone says, hey, I hate running, why are you running? Don't run. There are other ways you can do that. You can dance, you can swim, and then you can vary it.
Okay, good to know. All right, well, we have so much still to tackle in this hour, but we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to learn more about exercise, nutrition, ways to be heart healthy. So don't go away, stay with us. In the meantime, you can check out the website, allhealthallthetime.com, and learn more about the Health Channel and all the programming here on South Florida PBS. We'll be right back.
Wonder if you should get tested for colorectal cancer?
Is it really that common?
It is. It's the second leading cancer killer in the U.S.
I don't have symptoms.
It doesn't always cause symptoms, especially early on. And screening helps prevent the disease.
Oh? How?
By finding precancerous polyps so they can be removed.
But that test.
There's more than one screening test. If you're 50 or older, talk to your doctor about which one is right for you. Colorectal cancer screening really does save lives.
Many websites selling medication may look professional and legitimate, but the vast majority of sites selling prescription drugs are doing so illegally. Criminals use websites to sell counterfeit medications that may contain life-threatening toxins. Dot Pharmacy is a website verification program that helps you identify safe and trustworthy online pharmacies. Purchasing medicine online can be safe and easy. Just look for pharmacy to the right of the dot in website addresses.
love your new birthday present. Are you ready?
Ta-da!
Today, grown-ups will try anything to get kids more active outdoors. Good thing, since active kids have a better chance of building stronger bones and maintaining a healthy body weight. Here's an idea.
Let's go.
Get out there with them. A message from the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons and the Pediatric Orthopedic Society of North America, who remind you, for strong bones, activity runs in the family.
It's a teeter-totter.
Don't allow your weight to threaten your health or control your future. Excess weight or obesity can cause emotional and physical health risks. But you can take control. The Your Weight Matters campaign offers free resources and tips to help you measure and understand your weight. Take the Your Weight Matters Challenge. The free toolkit prepares you to speak with a healthcare provider about your weight. Your weight does matter. Take the challenge and take control today.
Welcome back to the Health Channel, all health, all the time. I'm Laura DeAngelis. This hour, I am speaking with registered dietitian Amy Kimberlin and exercise physiologist Shantice Mantia. Both join us from Baptist Health South Florida. Now, we are now going to move on to something known as dietary fiber, which many of us may know as roughage. It is a plant-based nutrient that passes through the intestinal tract relatively intact, and on its journey, it does a lot of good for the body. So Amy, tell us about this and why this is a good thing that we should be getting in our diets.
Yeah, what I would tell you is that fiber is mainly known for the function that you just described, moving things through our digestive tract and ultimately helping us to stay regular. So that's kind of its claim to fame, but just know that it has so many other functions, and I've often termed it the fiber factor. One, because we're missing it and we need more of it, and two, because of all the amazing benefits that it does. What I would tell you is that yes, it helps to create a bulkier stool and help move things through, so ultimately leading to helping avoid constipation. Two, it helps to lower cholesterol, our very topic today, and helping to improve our heart health. Huge and critical. The next thing that it can also do is help lower blood pressure, right? Which is another benefit within heart health. Sure. It also doubles as an agent where, because you don't digest it, in people with diabetes, it helps control these blood sugar levels. So instead of a straight spike up, it's just steady and controlled, because ultimately you're not absorbing it, which that's a benefit. It's been shown in some studies to also help with weight maintenance and or weight loss. Well, why would that be of benefit? Listen, fiber takes longer to eat, right? And it keeps us fuller longer. So we're not sure what's going on, whether it is that you're eating less overall, or actually that then, it's delaying the time. And so now you have less consumption overall throughout the day. Lots of different reasons and theories, but again, ultimately it can lead to weight maintenance and or loss. And then the last component is that it can actually help with different cancers. And so again, it all comes back to, yes, regularity, but keep in mind all these other functions, because it's like this powerhouse. And so there's two kinds of fiber, Laura. Yeah. And when we're looking at the fiber, I brought a couple samples.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you have some props for us. So let's get to the types of fiber and show us what they look like.
Yeah, so I think that sometimes, when I'm referencing soluble fiber versus insoluble fiber, the soluble fiber is that gel-like substance that, again, is helping to move things through and not let things stick or adhere to the artery wall. So great sources of that would be oatmeal, and I'm going to talk about the other oatmeal kind of hidden behind there. I hid it for a reason, right? We want the oats, we want the beans. Apples are actually a really good source of the soluble fiber as well. So why did I hide this oatmeal? It's the instant oats. Why I hid it is because I can't have people eating instant oats, right? You come into your breakfast, you think you're doing a really great job. I'm eating oatmeal, it's going to be healthy for my heart. I need the rolled oats. I need steel cut oats. Why? It's the fiber factor. Just keep that in mind. I need these versions to be whole, not processed, not refined, in order for you to get the overall benefit from that gel-like substance. Again, not letting cholesterol stick, and also, again, helping to lower blood pressure and all those other added benefits, right? The insoluble fiber is one that doesn't dissolve in water, and those are the ones that are actually, again, moving things through the digestive tract, and that can be found in the whole wheat flours. It can be found in flaxseed and lentils as well, that I have pictured there. So overall, again, a mix of fiber sources is what you want in order to get the overall benefit. Again, you may not pay attention to the sources of where you're eating it, whether it's soluble versus in, but the ultimate is that we need to eat more.
Okay, and again, when we talk about soluble, it just means it's able to be broken down. Just to kind of break that, explain that one more time when you talk about soluble.
Yeah, when you're looking at soluble, again, the soluble is the one that does dissolve in water. So if I said it backwards, I apologize. I'm lefty and I do those things sometimes, but the soluble is the one that dissolves in water. And so again, it's what forms the gel-like substance that again ultimately helps so things aren't sticking within the artery walls, right? And that's really important, again, for cholesterol issues, right? We don't want the cholesterol sticking. It's like a transport system that it just keeps moving things through and allows for overall better health of the artery walls.
Okay, obviously a lot of functions. Briefly too, just tell us, when we talk about how much are we supposed to have of this a day?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I would tell you is eat more.
Okay.
That sounded simple, let me explain it. You know, sometimes I think when we put numbers on these, 14 grams of fiber for every 1,000 calories, I think that can get lost in the message. What I encourage people to do is to eat more fruits and vegetables. Fiber is ultimately found in plant-based foods, so it's not going to be in the animal sources, which we still haven't even addressed the saturated fat issue with heart health. But going back to that fiber, we need about 14 grams for every 1,000 calories. Simplistically speaking, and some of the sources of the fiber that are there that are really great sources would be berries in the fruit group. They're loaded. I put blackberries and raspberries there just to show you that they really have the most. Strawberries and blueberries have a lot as well. The pear, don't be forgetting him, he also has a lot, and he's probably not one that maybe people think of. Avocados, beans, and oats are great sources that have both the soluble and the insoluble, but keeping it within men versus women, women need about 25 grams of fiber a day, and men need up to 38 grams. I don't think that you'd be off track if you had more, because more is better. And as you increase fiber slowly, please make sure to include water so that you don't get gas and bloating. But ultimately, more is better. And so again, to put a number on it is sometimes hard to do, because I feel like we just need to eat more. When you're looking at fruits and vegetables throughout the day, you need 5 to 9 servings a day, and we're just not hitting the mark, right? We need to eat more. Half of your plate should be vegetables, and we're just not eating it, right? So if I can at least have you add a vegetable into your meal at lunch, at dinner, and some people say it can't be done at breakfast, but I challenge you on that one. Other countries do it, we can too, right? So increasing fiber at every meal means including vegetables, and fruits are on the side, but again, that forefront should be vegetables, as it's half the plate.
All right, good to know. And one quick question before we move on to exercise. I just want to know, why do men need more fiber than women?
It's based on age, the sex, and then also just an actual nutrient intake and need. One thing sometimes, I'll discuss with patients when I used to see people on one-on-one. I do more group education now, but when I used to see people one-on-one, sometimes I would tell them to track their food, right? I'm not a big proponent of doing it every day, but I think sometimes there's an awareness level that people need to know how much that they're taking in. I know it by the back of my hand. I could do it in my sleep. But, if somebody needs to add up and see how much they're doing, and then also the same for saturated fat, to be a real eye-opener for them, it's a great way for you to add up and see how much you're actually consuming during the day. One that I forgot to mention was the avocado, and I really definitely want to mention that because it has the heart health from the plant-based source of unsaturated fat, and that little Hass avocado has 10 grams of fiber.
Oh, wow.
So if I'm talking that you need 25 grams a day and I can eat an avocado and give myself 10 all in one sitting, I'm all for it.
All right. I love avocado, so that's good news all around for me. All right, now we're going to get on to another daily necessity. Again, that is exercise. So, Shantice, I know we have some toys here with us that I know you want to get to, but before that, I also know you wanted to make another just key point about aerobic exercise and the importance.
Yes, so when we talk about accomplishing our exercise goal, remember, physical activity is just moving your body. Exercise is a more structured way to do that and meeting a specific goal. So aerobic activity is the key when we think about heart disease prevention, lowering blood pressure, lowering cholesterol. The recommendation by the American Heart Association is that 40 minutes, 3 to 4 times a week. Now, when we think about moving, we sometimes forget we also are still quite a bit throughout the day, and we call that inactive time or sedentary time. So a study from the Houston Heart Health Study actually showed people who were 9 to 10 hours sedentary throughout the day were just as likely to be at risk for heart disease and type 2 diabetes, regardless of their physical activity. So let's say you go out to the gym and you do your hour of exercise, you're like, yes, I did it, but you were sitting for 11 hours that that day, that's a no-no. So we have to think about focus on moving more and trying to sit less. So throughout your day, I know it's hard for those of us who are in front of our computer 8-9 hours in the day. Take a break every 30 minutes to an hour. That could be just standing up from your chair and moving as if you were sitting, and don't, and stand back up. So doing that a couple of times, hovering over your chair, also doing some arm movements and stretches while you're sitting down. So remember, focus on moving more throughout the day while also trying to accomplish your exercise goal.
Okay, so here's the thing. We're kind of getting towards where we have to take a break, so I'm definitely going to want to get to some of these fun exercises after. But real quickly, too, just an important point about anyone who's dealing with any kind of heart condition, other physical conditions, to talk with your doctor, though, right before starting any kind of a program.
Yes, so this is the recommendation for everyone. Doesn't matter if you have heart disease or you are perfectly fine. We all need to check with our physicians before starting exercise, especially if you haven't been active for a very long time and you're really working on getting off the couch and out and moving. The recommendation is check with your doctor just to make sure. Go for your annual physical and make sure you're okay to go and exercise. And once you get that green flag, go for it.
Okay, so get the green light. That's always a good thing. All right, so again, lots of great information about exercise, about fiber. We're going to get into some show and tell some exercises in our next segment after this short break. And also after the break, we're also going to hear about something interesting, and that is how many eggs should we eat in a day? So our experts here are going to have all the answers. Don't go away. Remember, you can always visit our website, allhealthallthetime.com. You can submit your questions and find out all about the programming here on the Health Channel on South Florida PBS. We'll be right back.
Like millions of Americans, Emma was living with high blood pressure and didn't know it. There were no early warning signs or symptoms. But Emma's heart was working overtime, putting her at risk for heart disease and stroke. Following a physical, Emma was diagnosed with high blood pressure, also called hypertension.
People of all backgrounds can develop high blood pressure. Treatments differ based on risk factors including age and family history. But hypertension can often be controlled with healthy habits and medication when necessary. Eating more fruits and vegetables, following a low-salt diet, exercising regularly, and quitting smoking are often the first lines of defense to control high blood pressure. Your doctor may prescribe one or more medications to help lower your blood pressure to normal. Some rid the body of extra sodium and water. Others reduce the heart rate or relax the blood vessels. Always take medications exactly as prescribed, and don't skip doses. While medications can effectively lower blood pressure when taken correctly, each type has potential side effects for some people. You might feel tired or have trouble sleeping. You may experience a dry cough, stuffy nose, leg cramps, frequent urination, or headaches. If you have side effects that don't go away with time, don't just quit taking your medication. Talk with your doctor and pharmacist, as there may be other medications or different doses that can control your blood pressure and have fewer or no side effects. Focus on the benefits. Taking your medication regularly will lower high blood pressure and protect your brain, heart, and kidneys from life-threatening consequences like stroke or heart attack, often the first scary signs of hypertension when left untreated. Control your blood pressure and reduce your risk by knowing your goal numbers
and monitoring your blood pressure at home or at your local pharmacy in between doctor's visits.
How's Franny?
She just graduated from obedience school.
Pharmacists play a key role in working with your physician to improve blood pressure management. We can address medication concerns and challenges. So talk to us about your treatments and goals outlined by your doctor. If taking your medication feels like a chore, don't just stop taking it. We can counsel you on working through side effects or determine when you need to see your doctor about possible changes in your medications. And we'll share healthy lifestyle tips to keep you on track. Whether you monitor your blood pressure at home or in the pharmacy, we're here to discuss your numbers and provide guidance. Okay, Emma, you're all set. I'll see you back here soon.
Welcome back to the Health Channel, all health, all the time. I'm Laura DeAngelis. Well, we've been learning a lot this hour about ways to stay heart healthy with help from Amy Kimberlin, who is a registered dietitian, and Shantice Mantilla, an exercise physiologist, and both work with Baptist Health South Florida. So, Shantice, we are actually going to kick things off for this
Yes.
segment with a little, I guess, show and tell, if you will, on the exercise front. So again, let's talk about the importance of strength training and how you're going to help us with that.
Okay, so we talked about aerobic, walking, dancing, all that, okay? Strength is equally as important. So when we talk about heart health, any exercise you do will actually help to improve your oxygen capacity and strengthen your lungs and your heart. But strength is so important because not only does it strengthen your muscles, but also bone density. So when we think about harnessing our bone density throughout our lifespan, strength is so important for this. And also fall prevention. As all of us will age, we're all in that process, so we want to think about that. So how are some ways we can accomplish that goal of at least 2 days of strength training activities per week? Okay, so these are some resistance bands. These are kind of my favorite, just because they're so versatile and they're really inexpensive. You can buy these in department stores, you can buy these online. This whole set was, I think, $12 for all 3. So they're relatively inexpensive. TheraBands, which are the ones you typically hear of, they come in a nice roll so you can cut them to size. They're about $10 and you can cut them into 6. So inexpensive and very, very versatile. So we're gonna do some exercises together.
Okay. Oh, look, I got a pink one.
Engaging. So these are the resistance bands, and just to cue also, dumbbells, I'm sure we've all seen these, and then we'll get to these in the next session, so stay tuned. Okay, so the main ones that we think about are kind of pull-aparts. The cool thing about resistance band is that the resistance stays throughout the movement. That's the difference between the dumbbells, which you only feel it in that key point of resistance. So pull-apart. So the closer you have your hands together, the harder it is to pull it. The further apart, the less you feel the resistance. So gauge based on how you feel. So a big one is that pull-apart. So you just hold it and you pull, and you bring your hands together in and out, and you can add some core strengthening activities by curling in a bit every time you pull and releasing when you come back. So you pull. So you're actually working out your shoulders, your upper back, your chest, and engaging your core. Remember to breathe. You have to breathe as you're doing these activities. Another fun one is if you hold overhead. So see, look, we went from one exercise, now another. This is pull down. You're going to pull straight down and stop at the top of your chest. You're going to squeeze your shoulder blades together. So you'll go through these movements. And again, for strength activity with someone with heart disease, we recommend, I'm going to keep you gals doing this.
This is great.
We recommend that you do higher rep, low resistance. So these bands are great because you're not adding a lot of resistance, but it still packs a punch. Are you feeling it?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you're feeling it.
my
Okay,
shoulders and
another
everything.
fun one that I love is the chest press. So you actually wrap it around your back. See, we're doing it here. You can do this at home. You can do this while you're watching a movie.
Right.
Okay.
At my desk.
At your desk.
We all need these at our desk.
So this is simulates a chest press. When we think that big bar, you can do this with the band. Again, if you move closer to your body, you're going to feel more resistance. The further apart, you're going to feel less. So you're going to pull straight forward and stop. Don't completely lock your elbows, but you stop and you pull back. Isn't that nice? Very versatile. And then the cool thing is you can go through different movements. So even here, if you like boxing, you can cross and punch. You can bring up. You can punch down, so it's very versatile. So instead of just targeting one area, you're actually targeting multiple muscles, and we're doing this while sitting. So even with these, you can use them while you're standing, do some squats. So these are really fun and again, inexpensive.
Okay, absolutely. Great way to do it.
I know, there we go. We got a workout on the segment.
All of us can do. So thank you very much for showing us that. All right, so we started with the show and tell and exercise. We're going to go back to a little bit of show and tell with the food. And one of the things we kind of mentioned earlier is, actually you mentioned a little bit earlier, was coconut oil. And I have to say, I love it in my hair. I actually use it on my skin too, but I understand we have to be a little careful when it comes to actually ingesting it as part of our diet. So Amy, tell us again about coconut oil and what we need to know about it.
So earlier on the Love It, Limit It, Lose It handout, there was one section I didn't mention, and that was the tropical oils. Those tropical oils are coconut oil as an example. It are the ones that actually have components and characteristics of saturated fat. So when you think of coconut oil, it is solid. Here in Florida with the humidity and heat right now, it's not, but it is a saturated fat. And so what is that doing inside of our body? The same things. Even though it's a plant-based source, it is doing it in our bodies just as if it was an animal, because it has the same characteristics. So the clogging, the increase of our lousy cholesterol or that LDL cholesterol, again, increased inflammation and all of those things. So where it had been touted as maybe healthy, you have to kind of, again, look at the studies and what they were looking at exactly. They extracted and were looking at a component of coconut oil called MCT oil, that is medium chain triglycerides. And as just that one component, that's the one that's where now we need to pay closer attention to. Even though it's saturated, it's not sticking. But just to give you perspective, if you were just doing coconut oil and not the isolated MCT oil, you would need to do 13 tablespoons of coconut oil. I have to be honest, no one should be taking in that much coconut oil just for the caloric intake of it in general. So again, science is great, and that's what nutrition is. And studies are looking at these things. I'd say stay tuned and let's kind of keep looking at MCT oil a little bit more, but just coconut oil by itself is not the saving grace or that one kind of highlighted food that we should be incorporating all the time.
All right, good to know. Now, speaking of another food though, that look, I have to say, I love eggs. Okay, I could eat them honestly for lunch, for breakfast, for dinner. I do have them for dinner sometimes, in fact. So, you know, I love them. I think they're great. So the question is, how many eggs should we be eating? I mean, give us a little help here, so we don't go overboard.
You know, I think that you're just like everybody else, and it's like the question asked to me immediately, and I'll be honest, it's a complicated question and I can't probably just answer it, and so I'm not trying to evade the question, but keep in mind it comes back to the saturated fat intake for your whole day. And so where eggs were kind of made to be the unhealthy thing earlier and years back, keep in mind what people eat eggs with. Any guesses?
Bacon.
Bacon, what else?
Pancakes.
Oh, okay.
Sausage.
You went carb.
I went carb.
Sausage.
So now we're talking all of those sources. So when you're looking at other saturated fat sources, the bacon, the butter, and the cheese, right? Now it's this synergistic effect. And when you look back at that egg, it was never the poor egg's fault, right? It was who he hung out with, right? So it's guilt by association. The cholesterol in the egg isn't raising blood cholesterol. And so I think that that's a really key component to tap into and understand. It's just because it's high in cholesterol doesn't mean that it raises it. It's the saturated fat. And so when we look at combination effects, it's everything. We have to pay attention to what we're pairing it with, and then again, come back to the portion control, right? And looking at overall consumption of saturated fat from other animal sources throughout the day. I always use kind of turkey and ground turkey as an example because people think it to be lean. Just know when you go into the grocery stores, there are 3 different types of ground turkey when you buy it. And so when you look at a source and you think that it may be lean, ground turkey at an 85% level is actually high fat. So again, it's that education and really paying attention to what it is that you're buying, looking at your whole saturated fat intake for the day, and then maybe, yes, you get more than 1 egg a day.
Okay, well, that's good to know. And how about people who like to load up on the egg whites? Is that kind of an alternative if you don't want all the yolks per se?
Absolutely. What I would tell you is the benefit in when you're looking at an egg is the yolk versus the white. There's protein in both. When you're looking at the yolk, that is obviously where the cholesterol is at, but ultimately that's also where some of the other nutrients like iron, folate, and choline are at. And so you do need the yolk, but what you're describing is perfectly acceptable. Go ahead and have 1 whole egg, add in a couple whites, and again, still pay attention if it's an egg scramble that you're doing or an egg omelet, what else are you adding into it? If now you're just adding ham and cheese, I would challenge you to say, hey, can I throw in some spinach, mushrooms, and tomatoes, right? I need those vegetables at breakfast. See, I told you, Laura, I would do it.
Do it. Got vegetables at breakfast.
I think
there we
it's
go.
important to make sense of what we're, again, combining and our overall effect. And the saturated fat content for the whole day is really important to target and to look at. And then, again, going back to consumption of how much protein that you need at a meal. That's a subject for another day.
Okay, that's probably a whole big topic in itself. All right, so we talked about some coconut oil, some eggs, and we had a lot of fun, Shantice, in the beginning with these little resistance bands. You got us all active. You did bring other things with you. I know you kind of touched on the dumbbells a little, but what else about these other fun items?
So these are
with us?
one of my favorites. To have so many favorite gadgets.
Looks like something
because
from
part of
outer
exercise, right?
space.
Keep it fun, mix it up. You don't always want to do the same thing because we also see that plateau effect. If you're always doing the same thing, you're not getting any better, right? You're just maintaining. And so exercise is adding that extra stress on your body. Once you get really good at meeting that stress level, you gotta step it up a notch and make it more versatile. So these are actually balance pods. Don't sit on these. Obviously, you see they're a little spiky. My favorite ones that I actually have at my desk chair is smooth and flat, and you can sit on it to engage your core. But balance is another key thing that we think about with fitness that is often the forgotten child. You need balance. You need balance for everything. Your core strength helps with posture, helps with walking. It helps with everything, really, and it's the key element when you think about buying your groceries and when you're doing any sort of activity of daily living. Your core is the fundamental thing that people forget about and is absolutely needed. So balance activities, this is a fun way to do it. So if you're just starting off, you can use a chair and actually stand on one leg and kind of hover and practice that and practice switching between legs. As you get better, you can actually use this and step on this to balance. I love doing both actually, and even doing squats on them. They're really challenging. Kids love these in relays. You actually can lay them out and run across them as if you were running on hot lava. So they're very versatile, very fun, and inexpensive.
Wow, that's actually really cool. I have not seen one of those before, I have to
They're
admit.
fun. They're really
like
fun.
that.
We'll have to play with them after. And then, of course, dumbbells. We see these. Another thing that we often think about are those weight machines that you have at the gym. And if you're just starting off and you don't know how to use the weight machine, if you're at a facility that does have a trainer, they're always willing to instruct you, show you, and actually read the machine. So a lot of times the instructors are very clearly depicted there for you. Another thing I would say is don't start too heavy. So if you're starting a new routine with anything, small steps, start gradually and work your way up to higher weights.
Okay, and that's very important when you said talk to a trainer. There's support out there, whether you're actually at the gym, obviously through Baptist and the work that you both do, there's a lot of support networks out there, and that's what we want to remind people of too. You're not in this alone.
No,
right?
and there's so much out there. I mean, Baptist is just one source, but we have exercise classes, we have nutrition classes with our lovely Amy and Carla. I'm sure you've seen her in other segments as well. We discuss mental health, all aspects of health really, because it's not just nutrition and exercise. Really, we think about the wellness wheels. There's so many components to wellness and health, and really improving our quality of life overall. If you check out our website at baptisthealth.net/wellness, you can see all the variety of programs we have, whether you want to do it with a group and come out for a Zumba class or a walk group. We've got it all.
All right, fantastic. Well, again, this has been fantastic chatting with you. We're not done
No,
yet,
we're not
so
done
don't
yet.
go anywhere.
Make you work out a little more.
Exactly. We are going to have more about your heart health and the keys to a healthy lifestyle when we return. And remember, you can always visit our website, allhealthallthetime.com. You can submit your questions about nutrition, exercise, or anything out there. And you can also find out more about the Health Channel right here on South Florida PBS. Stay with us.
You have heard about breast cancer, but do you know BRCA? BRCA stands for Breast Cancer Susceptibility Gene. Everyone has BRCA genes, but some women inherit BRCA genes that have a mutation or a change. Women with this genetic change have a greater chance of developing breast and ovarian cancer than other women. About 50 out of 100 women with a BRCA1 or BRCA2 genetic change will get breast cancer by the age of 70. CDC offers a confidential web tool called Know BRCA that women can use to learn their risk of having a BRCA gene mutation.
Learning your risk for a BRCA gene mutation allows you and your doctor to make important decisions for your health. This may include genetic counseling and testing, enhanced screening, and other methods to reduce your risk of ever developing breast or ovarian cancer.
Enter your family history, learn your risk, talk to your doctor. Visit knowbrca.org to find out more.
Don't allow your weight to threaten your health or control your future. Excess weight or obesity can cause emotional and physical health risks. But you can take control. The Your Weight Matters campaign offers free resources and tips to help you measure and understand your weight. Take the Your Weight Matters Challenge. The free toolkit prepares you to speak with a healthcare provider about your weight. Your weight does matter. Take the challenge and take control today.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hale, founder and CEO of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. No one should face breast cancer alone. When I was diagnosed 36 years ago, there was no internet, and I had to make a decision with little information. Early detection saved my life. It could save yours too. To learn what every woman needs to know about breast cancer, visit nbcf.org/hope.
At Miami Cardiac and Vascular Institute, we're celebrating our 30th anniversary. 30 years of pioneering minimally invasive techniques. 30 years of hard work and dedication by our top-tier leadership and world-renowned physicians and clinical staff. Creating a world-class comprehensive heart and vascular care center unlike any other. Committed to our guiding principles of outstanding quality care, continuous innovation, and a drive to save lives. 3 decades of excellence are the foundation for our exciting new expansion. A state-of-the-art facility, a first-in-the-world environment, with the latest technology. Recognized as one of America's best hospitals. We're proud of our history and committed to providing the best care today and in the future. We are innovators. We are leaders. We are Miami Cardiac and Vascular Institute at Baptist Health, South Florida.
The purpose of clinical research is to help understand how the human body works and how health and disease come about. So we want to understand what makes good health.
I think women's participation in clinical trials is extremely important because we have an entirely different set of issues, whatever body system you're working with, it's different from a man and from a child. So there are certainly differences there that we need to understand and focus and realize that are specific to women.
Science has shown and taught us that men and women are different in a variety of ways beyond the obvious differences. Our organs are different, our level of our hormones are different, we respond to treatments and medications differently. Based on those findings, every single cell in a woman or a man's body is a male or a female cell, and those cells respond differently to different triggers, to different treatments, and to the environment.
Welcome back to the Health Channel, all health, all the time. I'm Laura DeAngelis. Well, we've got our dynamic duo from Baptist Health South Florida, registered dietitian Amy Kimberlin and exercise physiologist Shantice Mantia. This has been a super fun hour because we've been talking about ways to be heart healthy by eating healthier and moving more. And you know, I'm a true believer that kind of one goes with the other. If you're moving more, you want to eat healthier. If you're making better health choices in the food department, you want to move more. So you're the experts. Am I right about that? I mean, does this make sense?
Yes.
To you?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that it's what you said, one feeds off of the other. And I think that ultimately it's, you know, somebody might have their nutrition down packed, but then they start working on their exercise. So they just move together and you want to keep improving on each component.
Yeah, and remembering not to get overwhelmed also. I mean, yes, they come hand in hand, but it's taking small steps. So you don't want to really have radical changes in both at the same time. So taking those small steps, remembering that they complement each other.
All right, absolutely. Now, speaking of small steps to get a little healthier, let's talk a little bit again about the mindset of making that switch to a healthier lifestyle. And we actually have a video that shows us some living proof of how making these changes can have a real positive impact.
Can we as a society improve our overall heart and health conditions? Absolutely.
Everyone should have a conversation about their heart.
Bottom line is you've got to be proactive and you've got to be concerned about yourself if you really want to be healthy.
A lot of this is within our control. If you choose to smoke, if you choose not to take care of your diabetes, if you choose not to exercise, and if you choose to be overweight, there are consequences for those actions.
It's never too late. And it doesn't matter what state you're in, there's some type of exercise that you can participate in.
All you have to do is get out there and walk. It makes you feel so much better.
Controlling those things that we have control over, blood pressure, cholesterol, blood sugar.
We have it within our capacity.
Be a part of your care and just not leave it to the physicians.
I've had a lot of friends say they were so shocked by my heart attack that it's going to change their lifestyle.
We're America. You know, we can send somebody to the moon. We certainly can take care of ourselves.
Well, there's a nice, powerful message to end with. We can take care of ourselves, and I think that's really what we've been talking about this hour. And you know, Amy and Shantice, one thing I hear a lot, and I'm sure maybe you do too, when it talks about making these changes or trying to, is time management is a problem, right? I don't have time to maybe prep my food or take that walk or get some exercise. So again, I hear this a lot. I'm just kind of curious how often you hear this from people, and what do you say to that person when they give you time as a obstacle, if you will, against these healthy lifestyle changes?
Well, we hear that quite often in a variety of exercise classes or nutrition classes. And prompting back to the video, one of the doctors says it's never too late. And I think that's the case not just in our age, but also in our day, and not beating down on ourselves if, you know, today you didn't get it in, but it's trying to plan ahead of time and having those sneakers and your exercise clothes in the car and being ready to go and having healthy snacks readily available, because really you need to make that time for yourself, and it's never too late to make those changes.
Yeah, what I would say to kind of add on to that is it's kind of a consistency thing. So, you know, making sure that, you know, like Shanti said, if you've had a week where you didn't hit the exercise as many times as you had wanted to, or you ate out more than you wanted to, that next week pick up right where you left off. I mean, it is really consistency. And within regards to the time management, I mean, 24 hours in a day, it's kind of a plan of attack, right? Which days are busier, which days are not. We know there's gonna be days when you eat out, but again, it's can I make a healthier choice when I'm eating out? I think sometimes it comes into the frequency of it, and then we let our guard down, and then we're eating out more, but we're also choosing unhealthy foods. So yes, time management is a really tough thing to manage, but the other thing sometimes I'll tell patients is, you know, when you're cooking at home, it shouldn't be just one person in charge. Can you divide and conquer, right? So mom's doing the side dish, kids are doing the salad and setting the table, dad's on the grill, whatever the division of duties is, right? But I think that helps so it doesn't seem so overwhelming where you put the emphasis on just one person and they think that they're in charge. So I think that helps with the time management as well, so then you don't have to go to the store and make it and clean it, right? So I think that it still comes back to a little planning, and that always helps in the implementation.
And I think also thinking about the goals that we set for ourselves. So really using SMART goals and being more realistic. So not saying, oh, I'm going to work out every day for an hour, or I'm going to cook every day, when you haven't been doing that at all. So really when you're setting that expectation for yourself, setting yourself up for success and taking those small steps of planning, whether it's, you know, I'm going to prep this week for my meals, or I'm going to try to walk around every hour throughout the day. So it's just finding those ways that you can have those small wins as you work towards creating those bigger changes in your life.
Right, the little small victories
Small
really add up.
victories, yeah,
and they
those
make
small
you feel
wins.
good, because you say, hey, I chopped my vegetables and I ate them for lunch today. I feel great. Or I got 10 minutes of a walk-in. So like you said, small steps. Amy, you mentioned one thing again. You know, I know in South Florida, just like lots of places around the country, people are busy, people are social, people are going out to eat. So when you don't have the healthy fridge, the healthy pantry that you're used to at home, you're looking at a menu with so many wonderful decadent things on it. You know, what are just some small adjustments or just some smart choices you can try to make if you do find you're eating out maybe a little bit more than you wanted to, maybe in a day or even in a whole week?
Right. No, what I would tell you, Laura, is that I think in this kind of day and age, there are actually healthier options. And so that's kind of like kudos to the places that are opening up and now are more readily available. So I think picking a place that actually leads you to success, whereas if you're going to just a complete fast food, you know, talking bad about fast food in general, but yeah, you're not going to maybe make that better choice, whereas there might be another available option with healthier options. Looking at a menu, yeah, you're looking at a plate and trying to include more vegetables where they may not be just served to you. So can you try and order them to include with the meal and start off with something like that? Dressings on the side, that's another huge thing where now you have the control and it's not just being served to you. Including or seeing if they do have a whole grain or maybe possibly a potato to kind of serve as your carbohydrate, and then paying attention to the portion, right? So of that protein source, it's just a quarter of your plate. I think that that helps with the allotment of looking at a plate and trying to analyze it and say, did I really balance it well, and at least choose from the things that were available to me and look at the quality of it, but then also the quantity as well. Can you doggy bag some of it up and take it home, right? Sometimes the portions at the restaurants are what are the overwhelming thing that we think that's the size, and in reality it's not. So can I just take some home and enjoy the rest for lunch as leftovers the next day? So a lot of different things that we could do, but I think starting with, again, as we're saying, one small thing, looking for maybe inclusion of more vegetables. I can't talk about it enough. We need more fiber.
She likes the vegetables. We're getting in the middle of the meals here.
Leave it to the dietitian.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know, one other thing too, I think there's also, we never want to get caught hungry when we're out. I know that's another thing.
Hangry? No hangry.
Hangry, yeah, hangry is
No
bad.
hangry.
I get hangry, I will admit that. So for me, like a go-to, I always have some almonds in my bag usually. especially like raw almonds. If I can carry an apple, I will. I'm just curious, I want to know what your go-to snacks are. Like, what do you guys leave the house with on a daily basis, or try not to leave? So
Well,
you don't
actually, a
get stuck?
terrible plug here. Thanks to Amy, I make energy balls now, and if you're curious of what those are, you should go on our website because we have Baptist Healthy videos to actually teach you how to make these great snacks on the go.
Okay.
So hashtag Baptist Healthy. If you go on our baptisthealth.net/wellness, you'll actually see them there. So the energy bites are some of my favorite. I have them on the go. I actually have some in my car right now for a crazy day like today.
Okay.
And they're really healthy. They have that fiber, that protein. I mean, Amy can say more, but see her education's even trickling into
I
our
love
team.
this.
So
Energy bites. All right, so energy bites are good. Okay.
It's got the mix of the carbohydrate, the protein, and the fiber and fat, right? So it's like this perfect mix of just something that you can have as a grab and go. For me, what I always carry if I have the refrigeration handy is I'll have a plain yogurt with some fruit. So again, still a balance of carbohydrate and protein. I'm not a big advocate of like the packaged products like as an energy bar per se. All food is energy, by the way. But what Shantice mentioned are those energy bites. And so if I can't have something already pre-made, Laura, what you're doing is perfectly like what I do. It's nuts and a fruit, right? And so what's portable, what can I bring with me that's not going to either go too ripe too quick, right, in the car in the South Florida heat, but that also that I can just have on hand and available and good to go. Because like you said, sometimes when we're not sustained and feeling like now hungry, we ultimately do make maybe poor choice selections in what we're eating. So having those go-to selections of snacks is really important.
And adding on to, we should always have a water bottle with us.
Yes, that's
and then
very
that's
true.
the compliment.
Thank you.
I will reach
Hydration.
over and show mine.
Yes.
Always have that because sometimes we think that we're hungry and actually we have some of that hydration or dehydration going on. So hand in hand, the snack and the water bottle.
All right. Well, listen, we're kind of winding down here, and you both summed up things very beautifully during the break before. So, takeaway message for our viewers today about being heart healthy and making some smart choices. Shantice, we'll start with you. What do you want people to know?
So very simple. As much as you can, try to focus on sitting less and moving more. Remember that Houston Heart Health study that showed if you're sedentary 9 to 10 hours a day, you're just as likely to be at risk for heart disease and type 2 diabetes, even if you're physically active. So try to sit less, move more, and find creative ways to move throughout the day.
And
what I would say my takeaway message is looking at the quality of the food that you're eating and then also the quantity. I think portion control is so critical in what we're eating because sometimes even though it's healthy and we're eating it, but we are eating too much of it, it's an issue. So making sure to really get the quality and the quantity.
All right. Well, Amy and Shantice, I could talk to you guys all day. Unfortunately, we're out of time. So thank you for being here.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Be sure to check out the website, All Health All the Time. I'm Laura DeAngelis. See you next time.